Welcome back, everyone. You found Artworkium, and we're ready to dive deep. This is Inventive Legacies, patents that shaped our lives. It's the series where we take apart the blueprints behind the patent art you see in our online store. And really, this is our way of saying thank you. If you're one of our customers, someone who's bought one of those fantastic patent prints, this extra context, this deep dive, it's for you.
Exactly. And today, we're getting into, well, the physics of fun, you could say. We're looking at the toy building brick. It sounds a bit dry, I know, but we all know it as the Lego brick.
Oh yeah, the bedrock of so many childhoods. And let's be honest, occasionally the bane of adult feet in the dark. We're digging into US Patent 3,005,282. It's a star in our toys and games collection. And hey, if you want to follow along visually, see the diagrams we're talking about, the link to that patent print is right there in the description.
Our goal today, to really get under the hood and understand the geometric trick behind that legendary clutch power. What makes them stick together so well.
All right, let's get the official stuff out of the way first. The patent title itself is almost comically understated. Toy Building Brick.
Published October 24th, 1961. The document ID is 3,005,282.
And the mind behind it, Godtfred Kirk Christiansen, hailing from Billund, Denmark.
Right. And this wasn't an overnight thing. He actually filed the U.S. application back in July 1958. And importantly, it claimed priority from an earlier Danish application from January 58. So the idea had been brewing.
And it was assigned pretty quickly to Interlego AG over in Switzerland.
Yeah, and when you read the patent's introduction, it's clear this wasn't just about making another toy block. It was really an engineering problem they were solving.
They were tackling a specific flaw, right?
Definitely. They weren't just, say, tweaking the plastic formula.
Yeah.
The patent explicitly states the goal was to provide improved coupling means for clamping such building bricks together.
Okay, clamping. So stickiness, basically. They needed something strong enough.
Strong enough to allow for a, and I quote, vast variety of combinations. They didn't want things just falling apart if you looked at them sideways.
Which, let's face it, some earlier blocks kind of did.
Precisely. Which brings us to the prior art. What were blocks like before this patent? Well, the patent acknowledges that blocks with studs on top, what it calls primary projections 21, and some kind of internal supports were already well known per se. They existed.
Okay, so studs on top, bits inside, that sounds familiar. What was the problem then?
The problem was how those internal bits were arranged. Usually the internal projections were lined up co-axially with the primary projections.
Co-axially, so like directly underneath the stud.
That's it. Imagine a stud on top and a tube or support right below it, sharing the same center line.
Okay, I can picture that. Seems logical for stacking, maybe.
It works fine for simple stacking, yeah. Gives you decent vertical stability if you're just building a tower straight up. But it offered almost zero lateral grip. Side-side friction. Connections were weak, wobbly.
So trying to build anything wide or something sticking out, like a bridge or a wing, that would be unstable.
Very unstable.
Yeah.
Prone to just wiggling apart. And that's where Christiansen's insight comes in. This is the real aha moment.
The core innovation where he basically patented what, friction?
In a way, yes. Patented smart friction. The absolute key was that the internal tubes, the secondary projections 22, were not lined up under the studs.
Not coaxial. Okay, so where did they put them?
This is the clever bit. The patent lays out the geometry precisely. These secondary tubes are positioned coaxially with the center of a square formed by 4 of the primary studs on top.
Whoa, okay, hang on. Center of a square. So if I picture a standard 2x2 brick, there's one tube inside.
Right. And that single tube sits exactly in the middle of the space, defined by those 4 studs on the top surface. Not under any single one of them, but right in the geometric center of the 4.
Okay, so why does moving it off-center like that make such a difference? What's the physics?
It's all about how the parts interact when you push them together. Because of that specific placement, when you connect 2 bricks, the round cross-section of that internal tube gets pushed into tangential contact with the inner surfaces of the 4 studs from the brick above it.
Tangential contact, meaning they just touch at the edges.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Imagine looking down from the top. The circle of the tube inside touches the circles of the 4 studs around it, right at their edges. You've basically created a 5-point connection, the tube touching 4 stubs.
Like a little geometric hug or clamp.
That's a good way to put it, a clamp. And that contact, those multiple points of touching, combined with the natural elasticity of the plastic.
Yeah.
That's what generates the friction, the clutch power.
And it resists forces in multiple directions, not just up and down.
That's the key. It holds against twisting, pulling sideways. It creates a much more robust connection. It allows the plastic to flex just a tiny bit in grip.
It's kind of mind-blowing that this incredibly famous toy hinges entirely on that little bit of geometric offset. The patent calls the brick a, what was it? Rectangularly parallelepiped shape of a hollow construction.
Yep. Fancy talk for a hollow box.
Yeah.
But the real magic, like you said, is inside. It's that placement.
And it allows for more than just simple stacking, right?
Absolutely. The design is incredibly versatile. The patent points out you can clamp that one internal tube between 4 studs from another brick. That's the standard connection. But you can also clamp, say, a pair of studs between one of those tubes and the interface of the brick's side wall.
Ah, so you can offset bricks and they still hold tight because the system allows for different kinds of connections.
Precisely. It gives you that freedom to build complex shapes, knowing the connections will hold regardless of how the bricks are shifted relative to each other.
And they clearly thought about different sizes from the start. The patent mentions sets having blocks with 4, 6, 8 studs.
Yeah, the basic units. They made sure that internal geometry, that tube placement, scaled correctly for the common brick sizes.
Which brings us to another interesting point. Those internal tubes weren't always just simple cylinders, were they?
No, not at all. This is a bit of a deep cut, but the patent actually covers variations in the shape of those secondary projections.
Right. I saw that in the drawing. Some of them look cross-shaped, like a plus sign. Figures 9 and 10, I think.
You got it. They specifically mention and show cross-shaped tubes. The idea was that any symmetrical cross-section could work as long as it could still make that essential tangential contact with the 4 surrounding studs.
Why a cross shape, though? Any advantage?
Likely about maximizing friction, maybe, or possibly saving a tiny bit of plastic material compared to a full tube while still providing enough surface area for grip. It's clever optimization.
Okay, that makes sense. But there's one more detail about those tubes that seems really counterintuitive. The slits.
Ah, yes. The longitudinal slits 18. Tiny cuts running down the length of the tubes.
Yeah, why would you cut them? Doesn't that weaken the tube?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But the patent is explicit. Those slits are there to increase the clamping effect.
Increase it? How?
By making the tube slightly more flexible. Think of it like this. The slit allows the walls of the tube to spread apart just a tiny bit when a stud is pushed inside.
So it makes the tube act more like a spring, gripping tighter.
That's the idea. It turns the tube into a sort of miniature compression spring. It allows the plastic to deform just enough to create a really snug, reliable fit, maybe even compensating for tiny variations in manufacturing or temperature changes.
Wow. That level of detail just for how 2 toy bricks stick together, it's incredible.
It really is. The engineering thought that went into it is quite remarkable.
Okay, before we move on, there's one more piece of this patent's history we should touch on. It's a bit of a legal curiosity.
Ah, you mean the disclaimer?
Yeah, the 1978 disclaimer. What happened there?
Well, quite a while after the patent was granted, 17 years later, in fact, on March 31st, 1978, the company, Interlego AG, filed a formal disclaimer. They disclaimed claims 1, 2, and 3 of this very patent.
Claims 1, 2, and 3. Aren't those usually the most important, broadest claims in a patent?
Often, yes. Giving up your primary claims years down the line
Yeah.
is interesting. It could have been for any number of strategic reasons, maybe related to litigation with competitors or adapting to changes in patent law over time.
It definitely adds a layer of intrigue, doesn't it? Shows that even groundbreaking patents have a life cycle and face challenges.
For sure. It's a fascinating historical footnote.
Okay, so we've gone through the core geometry, the off-center tubes, the cross shapes, the slits, even the legal history. Now, turning to you listening, what part of this story surprised you the most?
Was it maybe realizing that the Lego brick's secret sauce wasn't just stacking, but that very specific off-center placement of the inner tubes relative to the studs? That geometric necessity?
Or perhaps it was the material science angle. Finding out about those tiny longitudinal slits, cuts deliberately added to make the tubes more springy and clamp down harder.
Or maybe just the sheer technical depth. You know, the fact that Christiansen didn't just patent a block, he patented the mechanism, including variations like cross-shaped tubes, covering all the bases for that geometric lock.
Let us know. Jump onto our social media, continue the conversation about inventive legacies, tell us what clicked for you or what other patents you think deserve this kind of deep dive.
And seriously, if you want to see those diagrams, the cross-sections, the slits, check out the link in the description. It takes you right to the patent print for US3005282 in our toys and games section. It's pretty cool to see it laid out.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Okay, so to recap, the genius of US patent 3,005,282, the Lego brick patent, really boils down to that clever geometric shift, moving away from simple coaxial alignment. By placing those internal tubes just right so they tangentially contact the 4 studs above Godtfred Kirk, Christiansen solved the crucial problem of stability and clutch power.
Which unlocked that vast number of possible combinations and basically changed how kids build things.
Fundamentally.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this little engineering expedition into the heart of a plastic brick. We hope peeling back the layers gives you a whole new appreciation next time you encounter one, hopefully not with your foot.
Yes.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into an iconic patent from the Artworkium collection.
And we'll leave you with this thought. Every time you snap 2 of those books together, remember the engineering. You're engaging with a patented geometric solution. It's proof that sometimes the biggest innovations come from tiny, precise adjustments like moving a little plastic tube just slightly off center.
Go build something amazing. Thanks for listening.